Hello, good morning, and welcome to this Dawn Busters Taste Challenge. All right, finishing coffee. We have crosstown rivals across the town of Bardstown, Kentucky. Introduced in 1844, T.W. Samuel's Kentucky Blended Whiskey versus Barton American Blended Whiskey. Blended American Whiskey. All right. Oh yeah, premium American whiskey, a blend. What makes this premium? What certifies it? What legally makes it premium? Nothing, because that isn't a meaningless term in a legal sense. It's just a glittering descriptor. My eye is bothering me. This has some hair in it. All right. Okay, so it doesn't mean anything. But we'll look at what does mean some things. This one says American whiskey, and let me tell you why. It's got the same Barton label with the iron work and the, I guess, ivy. It's got the gold label with the red band. On the gin, I think it's a gold label with a green band, something, I don't know. It's a similar design for all the Barton liquor brands, because they make gin, vodka, American blended whiskey, straight. Well, now when you get into the straight bourbon whiskey, then it's a different design. But anyway, it's from Bardstown, Kentucky, and Los Angeles, California. So it depends where you live, I guess, which one you're getting. Same recipe. But to say premium, that doesn't mean much. Okay, T.W. Samuel's Kentucky Blended Whiskey. It doesn't say premium or any of that. It's just giving you the straight story. But this one is from Bardstown, Kentucky only. So that's why they call it Kentucky Blended Whiskey. See, that's when they put that legally means that binds them actually to say that it's distilled in Kentucky. It has to be distilled in Kentucky. This one says American, meaning, okay, anywhere in the United States of America. And in this case, two different parts, California and Kentucky. The far west, Pacific coast, and upper south border state bordering the Ohio River. Okay. They're both 80 proof and blended at an 80-20 ratio. And the difference, another difference is that the T.W. Samuel's is aged 3 years, 36 months, and the Barton gives no age statement. You say, what does that mean? At first, when I started doing these whiskey things, I didn't understand. But by carefully reading the law, the regulations that's under the purview of the law, I said, oh, okay, if it doesn't give an age statement, that means that in the United States, it has to be aged at least 4 years, okay? Other countries, it's different, but in the U.S., it means it's a minimum of 4 years old. Could be 12 years, but pretty sure it's 4 and not a second longer than 4. I don't really know that, but it's probably 4 years. This has been on the market since 1949, okay? 1949. And the T.W. Samuel's 1844. I got shook up in the last taste challenge, you might remember, because I got them wrong. And I was going on and on about why that was T.W. Samuel's and why the other one was that whatever Sazerac one I was looking at, I can't remember. And then, but I had it wrong. Barton, okay. I'm going to do something real fast. I think I made a mistake. We'll fix that. Okay. As you know, I tend to be a little absent-minded. So I could tell you about World War II, but I can't tell you what I just did. Okay, which to me is not a good sign, but it's nothing new. You say it's age-related. No. Okay, Barton. No. I've been doing that my whole life. Just put a little bit, since I already have to internally digestively dispose of the other layout. All right. I might need more. Okay. So I don't think it's going to be so easy. I was overconfident the last time, and overconfidence is a barrier to problem solving. It can, and the problem here is, can one tell the difference between the two in a blind taste test? And overconfidence is a barrier to problem solving. Okay. So the appearance, the Barton is clearly a shade darker. This is more amber. This is more gold. All right. So, all right. Maybe it will be a difference, but I'm not very confident, to tell you the truth. The Barton is $5.99 a bottle. I bought that in Frankfort, Kentucky. After tax, it was $6.35. Kentucky has low alcohol taxes, so $6.35. The T.W. Samuels around here can range from $6 to $8 a bottle. Oh, let me rephrase that. $6 to $9 a bottle. So it's a big range, $3 range. More than likely, you'll get it for $7 or $8. But you do have to shop around, and I would not shop around. I'm not going to go on some great excursion for T.W. Samuels. I bought one bottle, and I intended to drink that one bottle and never buy it again. In the case of Barton, it wouldn't matter because I can't get it here. It wouldn't matter if I wanted to buy it again. All right. Now that we got that straight, sorry for the little mishap, but it'll probably happen again in the future, I'm sure. Here we go. Pretty strong alcohol burn. Grain alcohol, right? 80% grain neutral spirits. That's just pure grain alcohol, unaged. Although, interestingly, the U.S. government says it has to be stored in wooden vessels. So, I mean, if it's stored in a wooden vessel, then it's aging in the vessel, isn't it? Isn't it? Although they're probably not storing it for very long. I bet they're just continuously using that stuff. So it's not like they're putting a grain neutral spirit in a huge wooden vessel container and they're letting it set for years. They're probably letting it set for hours until they exhaust it to make blended whiskey or other kind of liquor, and then they're on to new. But I don't know that, but I would assume that. So this is 80% grain neutral spirits and 20% straight bourbon whiskey, and almost certainly the T.W. Samuels is using Heaven Hill, and I would think that the Barton is probably using Barton straight Kentucky whiskey, and almost certainly the 4-year age, which I found was rather bland, but not bad, but just bland, dull, kind of boring. But it's not sold in Louisiana. We don't get Barton down here. I think we get Barton vodka, I believe, or gin, one of those two. All right. I got to be careful not to look because I think glancing could even give it away. It's such a close shade. Still dark outside, boy, boy, boy. I think there's a slightest glimmer of daylight. This one here on my left seems to have more of a spicy nose, which is making me think Barton because of the Sazerac angle and the higher rye content. Once again, I have to be careful because I'm not sure. And I got mixed up last time, and it was so embarrassing, really. I could have just deleted it, and then that would invalidate all my taste challenges and just show that I was trying to stage these things to try to build some kind of portfolio of success. But you have, if you're going to do these, you got to do it live. Well, you don't have to, but you should do it live probably. And don't ever delete it, even if you screw it up, because then it's like a manufactured stage thing. It's like so-called reality TV, which is the reality of that is that it's not real. You know, it's fake to a large extent. Heavily edited. Now this one does have some melon qualities, which is making me think T.W. Samuels and Heaven Hill seems to have that melon, but I got it mixed up last time. This one has less burn. It does have less burn. I'm a little confused right now, but let's go on. Time to taste. Now you say, yeah, and you get to drink down the rest of that screw up batch later. Yeah, I get to drink it. Maybe a better terminology would be I have to drink it. I could pour it out, but I'm not one of these buy and pour people. Yeah, I might pour out Super Brew 15, which I did dump out. That beer, 15%, 30 proof, because it was ghastly, horrible, and an atrocity of mankind from Romania. But this is not any of those. These two are just dull and ho-hum. It's not like you can't drink them, but you don't get excited about it. They're simply serviceable. A little corn syrup here, like, you know what I mean? Like that Cairo corn syrup. And some underlying, I don't know, how do you describe these things, these blended whiskeys? It's like an underlying, I don't want to say a void or a vacancy, but it's an underlying, it's a flavor, but it's like almost a flavor that is not a flavor. You know what I mean? But I describe it as some kind of melon aspect. It's very strange. If you're used to drinking bourbon, these will not come across very luxurious to you. You know, you'll be perplexed. You'll say, what is this? You know, this is so, it's almost like a watery, it's a very strange thing. Yeah, and this one has the same thing. Although this one on the left has more of a wood character. There is wood. I'm picking up wood. I don't know about the char, but wood, some mild. You get some shade of bourbon flavor, like the dried flowers, the fruitcake fruit, maybe vanilla and wood. But it's so faint that it's almost like it's not even worth talking about. So the main characteristic of these two things, and really all the blended whiskeys, American blended whiskeys, aside from Seagram's 7 Crown, which does have its own character, is like a lack of character. That's their character. Their character is a lack of it. Now you say, oh, I just want the alcohol. I'll do it for the booze, baby, the 80 proof booze, baby. Well, if that's your goal, these will fill that. You will achieve that goal to perfection with these. Not a problem. But if there's any kind of desire to have flavor, character, they're not going to work. They're just not sippers. They don't have anything. I mean, you can sip on it. You can do what I'm doing. You can start reaching for things, and you'll find things there. Like I just took a sip, so there was char and wood, but it's like fumes, gasoline fumes. So it just doesn't. I mean, you could take a cheap blend, a cheap straight whiskey, like go get a bottle of Ancient Age. That's $9.99 to $7.50. Straight bourbon whiskey, aged 3 years. And do a comparison with either one of these. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. And you'll be stunned. You'll be shocked by how much more character the Ancient Age has. How much more depth of flavor. How much more depth of body and everything it has. Everything. Now that's not even any kind of great straight bourbon whiskey. It's okay. It does the trick. There is a 6-year age, which we can't get. But just take something minimal like that, or if you have your CVS card, you can go get the JT Boots, Jethro T Boots. That's $8.99. That is like the most cut rate. That literally is the bottom of the barrel when it comes to bourbon. It'll destroy these two items. Absolutely destroy them as far as depth of flavor, okay? So that gives you the base of what we're working with here. We're not working with a whole lot, really, at all. On the other hand, you got extremists, they'll say it's got nothing, there's nothing there. And that is not true. That's going off the deep end on the other side. And that's where we run into problems with beer. You got extremists on both sides. You got your Budweiser people, they'll drink Budweiser and talk about how it's just world class and exquisite in every way. You don't see too many videos like that because it's so preposterous and foolish that it's this. Why would you come on the internet and say that? But then you got the extremists on the other end, the craft beer hardliners, who in many cases are not talking about the beer. They're talking about social constructs. Like, you listen carefully to their review. They hate the product, but they haven't tasted it yet. They hate it because it's a huge international corporation and it was a buyout. And they'll talk about the corporate structure. And then it's like, wait a minute. Do you hate Budweiser because of socialism and you have some kind of left-wing advocacy approach and you can't get past that because you have some kind of fixation on that? Or do you hate it because of the actual product itself? So they'll go in there with the review with this like embedded animosity towards it, which is no kind of real review. But then you'll get the people that maybe they just are neutral. Let's assume they don't care about politics at all. I'm very wary when people tell me that. They'll say, I don't care either way. That seems hard to believe. But let's just assume for the sake of argument, they'll say, oh, I don't care about that. But they'll taste the Budweiser and say it has no flavor. It tastes like nothing. I'd rather drink urine. Well, why would you rather drink urine over a beer? That's right there. It makes no sense. So then you got to discount. You just kind of throw out their review because it makes no sense. Or if I went to a wedding and all they had was Budweiser, I'd drink water. That seems, and this is a dedicated beer drinker. That's not possible. That's not going to happen. More than likely, they'd sneak in their own beer and drink it. But it's free, so they're going to drink the Budweiser at a wedding. They're going to drink it. They might eat those little sausage rolls, and they're not that good. but they're going to eat them because it's free. You know, I know what people do at weddings. I've been to enough weddings to know what people do. So the whole thing about this today, I don't want to be extremist. These do not have a lot of flavor. And if you say they have all kind of great flavors, something's wrong. It doesn't make sense. But on the other hand, you can't sit up here and tell me it has no flavor. There's nothing here. It's total. And I'll get the, you know, you get the craft whiskey people, you know, and they'll come on here talking about, that's brown vodka, that's brown vodka. It's not brown vodka. Legal, you know, get on the Tax and Trade Bureau website. It's a class of whiskey. It's called American Blended Whiskey. Okay. It's not vodka. It shares some characteristics with it, yes. So you can read the Tax and Trade Bureau website and it'll describe what American Blended Whiskey is. Now, nowhere on that site does it tell you how good it is, or how quality it is, or how you should buy it. That's your decision. But don't sit there and say, yeah, it's brown vodka. ROK, do you nap in the day drinking so early in the morning? You know, I like to take a little nap after lunch, but I rarely can fall asleep. I'll just lay there for 10 minutes and realize I'm not going to sleep, so I'll get up. And if I do fall asleep, it'll be for 10 minutes, you know, usually. So in theory, I like to take a nap, but in reality, I just can't fall asleep. So there's the answer. So then I get up and do something else, you know, so. I'm sitting here tasting these and I'm thinking to myself, what is the purpose of the taste challenge here? And that's a good question. Like you might say, why even have a challenge? Because you're putting up bland, dull, and essentially nothing against bland, dull, and essentially nothing. And there's a strong argument you can make for that. So if you told me I'll never watch another blended whiskey taste challenge because there's no point to it, I would not oppose that. I would not take issue with that. Bulls fans, I feel like those craft beer purists sometimes react so harshly to mainstream brews because of the people they generally associated with drinking them. It gives them a feeling of superiority. I think you're right. But it hurts them in a way because their reactions are not good. Like they'll say, you know, like if you're at a bar and here they come strutting into the bar, right? That's what they do. They strut into the bar. And they want to make sure everybody knows what they're ordering, right? So right there, that's a big, that kind of like lets you know there's a insecurity, right? You know, the Budweiser drinker doesn't go into a bar and wants to make sure everybody sees he orders Budweiser, because he's probably in, or she, but he's probably aloof to the whole the whole culture struggle, right? And if he was aware of it, he probably doesn't care. He's there to watch the game and maybe smoke cigarettes and talk and maybe look at that lady with her nice outfit on her. You know what I'm saying? Like he doesn't care about that. But then here comes the craft beer guy. And I don't mean that in a bad way as far as drinking craft beer, because I do that like constantly, right? But you know what I'm talking about, the one with the attitude. When I say the craft beer people, I mean the ones with the attitude problem, the inferiority complex. So here they come strutting into the bar. And they're going to talk a little bit louder than the normal person and say, whoa, what do you have here? Budweiser, ho, 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 Pabst Blue Ribbon. Oh my God, I'd rather put a gun in my head. And they're trying to like spark some kind of conflict, you know, so. Now, they may not get a reaction. Like I say, these Budweiser drinkers might be so disinterested in that they don't react. Like they don't care. You know what I mean? It's immaterial to them. They have a life worth living. You know what I'm saying? Like the basis of their existence is not that everyone knows what beer they're drinking today. They're not going on Beer Advocate and posting, what am I drinking now? Or Untapped, and they want everybody to see what they're drinking. You know, that's not their reason for living. Okay, so then this guy's going to say, you know, oh, you got any Imperial Stouts? You know, you don't have Imperial Stouts? And then they get up a lecture about, Yeah, I was talking to Ken Mormon yesterday. You know, the brewmaster at Shiblip Brewing in the Garden District of Seattle. Yeah, I met him on a cruise, Alaskan cruise in 2012. I babysat his dog once, but you know, and then they go on and on. And you're like, oh, let me get out of here, you know, or let me go to another table. So that's that whole thing that people react against. And then, but they're insecure because if you drink a Budweiser, they have to give you a 10-minute lecture on why you shouldn't be drinking it. It's like a cross to a vampire, or, you know, a crucifix to a vampire. And you say, give me a break, you know. But craft beer sucks, says ROK. The worst thing is going to a bar that only has craft beers. Why not at least carry a mainstream American lager? Well, I like craft beer. I always have liked craft or craft style beers. But I have the freedom, you know what I mean? I don't have to be uptight about it because I'm not part of the struggle. You understand? I have no horse in the race. I've said this a million times. Craft beer, macro beer, micro, macro, middle crow, I don't really care. You understand? So if you're not invested in it, if you're not a stakeholder, well, heck, you can just enjoy it. And you can sit back and watch all the ones that are part of the culture conf and watch them get stressed out about it. You know, you can just say, oh, well. All right, now, same thing with the whiskey. You have the pomposity in the whiskey world, and it may be worse than beer. I don't know. It's hard to believe that it could be worse than beer. Maybe wine is worse. But it's the same thing, you know. They got to let everybody know what they're drinking and make a big scene about it, and then you roll your eyes and say, oh, boy, here they come. Here they come. All right, so I think this is the Heaven Hill, the Samuel, T.W. Samuels, and I think this is the Barton. But I'm not entirely confident at all. Well, I'm not entirely confident. I'm not confident. And I would say which one wins? It's a tie, so forget that. Which one would I buy? Neither, actually. But let's just assume that I was buying. For whatever bizarre reason, I decided one day I want to buy some American blended whiskey. Why I would want to do that, I don't know. Well, I mean, I would obviously buy whatever's cheaper. And that would be the only consideration with these two. The labels look fine. Nice bottles. But, I mean, if it came down to 1 penny, 1 cent, if the T.W. Samuels was $6 and the Barton was $5.99, I'd buy the Barton. That's how close it is. So basically, what difference does it make if I get it right? It doesn't make any difference. It's immaterial. But, well, for the sake of the video, I'll just guess. I think this is the Barton. And it is. Okay, so there were differences. Now, that's the last part of this video rant, which is what I do on these. If you say there's no differences and all American blended whiskey is the same old garbage and it doesn't make any, that is untrue. There are differences. They're subtle. They're nearly indecipherable in most cases, but there are differences. So don't get on the internet talking about it's all the same stuff in different bottles, because that is not true. I'm sorry to burst your bubble. It is not true. It's different recipes that are nearly identical. I understand that. I'll give you that. But they're not aged the same. Okay, so once again, you're wrong. All right. Now, Rock says, for those of us who enjoy Coors Light, why not carry something the majority of what people actually like? Well, I agree with that. But going back, but you see, I would have to say, being a strong supporter of free enterprise, if a bar wants to only sell craft beer, that's fine, because then people who don't want to drink it can go to a bar that sells regular beer. So it shouldn't be very difficult to find a bar that sells macro beer. I mean, 99.9% of bars are going to carry that. So that won't be a problem. You know what I mean? Like, so if a bar wants to sell this or that, or only draft, or only bottles, or only cans, or whatever, fine, we support that. If bars only want to serve certain people, like we only serve people with ponytails, so if they have a sign out front, only people with ponytails allowed in. You say, well, that's discrimination. They only allow ponytails. And I understand that, but being a supporter of free enterprise, you would have to support, you would philosophically be bound to support their right to only serve people with ponytails. Okay? So don't say you support free enterprise, but then you want the government to pass a law. Okay? You want the government to pass a law demanding that all bars and restaurants serve people and are not able to discriminate on the basis of hairstyle, because then that would violate your dedication to free enterprise, and people could very rightfully accuse you of being a quasi-socialist, or in fact a true socialist, a corporatist, but you don't realize it because you don't have enough grounding in the understanding of economic concepts. So anyway, enough ranting about the support of free enterprise and freedom in general, personal freedom in general, which is, you know, kind of one of the themes of this channel. And would I recommend buying either one of these? Yes, I would recommend it, because you never know what kind of bizarre or unusual ideas people have about drinking. So I would recommend buying T.W. Samuels, and I would recommend buying Barton, but I would never in my wildest dreams say that you should expect a bunch. If you're expecting a lot, you're going to get woke. You know what they say on TV today? He's woke. Well, I am a woke person. I've been woke, as they say on the streets. And when we get to the anniversary of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, you're going to find out how woke I am. I was just thinking from a business perspective, at least carry a Bud Light or a Miller Lite. Yes, I agree with that. I think it's a bad business practice not to at least. Yeah, but what if they're in an area that no one buys it, though? You see what I mean? There's no use having it and it doesn't sell. So you got to take that into account. But I get the niche market craft brewers and respect their hustle. Right. It's all about that. That's the bottom line. Does it make money or does it not make money? If you want to have Colin narrate your commercials and your tennis shoe sales go up 30%, then let Colin narrate your commercials. But if in the long run it destroys your company, then you will have no tears from me, because I don't care. I don't buy your overpriced shoes anyway. But it's all about business, and even the business people that claim it's about the struggle and power to the people, right on. If you believe that, you're not too bright, or you need to get woke. All right, thanks for watching this video production. Thanks for watching this video production, and the next one up is T.W. Samuels versus another homely blended whiskey. But somebody's got to take them to the dance, right? Thanks for watching this video production.